Hello, this is Barbara from Vienna, Austria. Welcome to this third and final part of the landscape hardcover journal that I'm doing following Izzy from IzzyBee Craft Creations. So head on over to her channel to see what she's doing. She's explaining everything more in depth than I am. I'm just kind of trying to follow along using her fantastic templates. If you've missed the first two videos and are interested in how I got to this stage, I will link those down below for you to check. So first thing I needed to do before sewing in the signature, so I have 5 signatures, was to trim the width because they were just a bit too wide, and I kind of butcher the first one. So I kind of go back and forth, and I don't know why I do that. Look at the mess that happened there, and everything was crooked, and I did such a bad job, which is why I hate doing it this way in the first place. But I did catch on quickly how to do it better. So for this first one, I basically had to recut most of the pages with my scissors anyway, just to give them a kind of a straight edge. And for the next one, you'll see I managed to do a much better job by just pushing down the blade harder and by having a more slow and controlled movement. Yeah, so now it looked okay, but for the second one, it was much better. So yeah, that width was fine. And I'm trying it a second time, and see here I'm just doing it a lot slower and more controlled, and look at that, how easy was that? And perfect. Okay, so for the last 3 that were remaining, I managed to do them just as well, even with one cut with one of them. But yeah, so that worked really well. So I had everything cut now. I have 5 signatures in there. They fit in there very nicely. Love how that was looking. And so now I am taking Izzy's templates to see where I need to punch my holes. And I was so happy to have these because measuring where the holes need to go is just a pain. And it's one of my least favorite parts of making a journal. So how nice is it to have this done for you? Obviously, you can do it without, but I was so happy to have everything there. So that template, of course, fit perfectly into this journal. And I just put some washi tape on it so that it wouldn't move. And now I'm just taking my awl and punching the holes through, which was really hard because the cardboard I used for the spine was very thick. So at one point I thought I almost broke my awl, but it worked out. So there you see 5 holes, and I'll be doing the same for the middle and the bottom row. So we're doing a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, which is my preferred binding method anyway. So I was happy that this is how Izzy was doing it. And originally I actually wanted to make a hidden spine because I wasn't happy about putting holes in that beautiful red book cloth. But in the end, I honestly just didn't feel like going to the trouble of making one, so I decided to just do it this way. Okay, so everything looked like it was in place. Now I'm just checking the template for the signatures, whether the holes actually line up, and they do. So good job, Izzy. Because when I do them on my own, it totally happens sometimes that they don't line up. So now I'm just checking that my signatures have the pages lined up correctly and that the shorter pages are where I want them to be. And I'm just gonna clip them together with some clips here to make them stay in place. And I'm going to put that template there. And I did want to note where the top, because sometimes when the holes are not completely symmetric, that will throw you off as well, and the holes won't match with the holes in the spine, and then it gets really frustrating. I've been there. Okay, so I clipped the template on as well. Now I'm just putting my awl through the holes of that template It's probably easier if you have like a phone book or something you can use to put it in the crease there, but I kind of just do it like this and I'm okay with that. This is the embroidery floss that I chose to bind the signatures into because it matches very nicely with the book cloth on my spine and you wouldn't see them as much. And now I'm measuring three heights of the book to cut off, and then I'm just using my needle to sew those into the first holes, going in from the middle and then going out actually through the middle to the outside, then going back in on the top. You could also go in through the bottom, it doesn't really matter. So now we're back inside and we're gonna go all the way to the bottom hole, go back outside from the bottom hole and back in the same middle hole that we came out. So now we have the two ends meeting up in the middle. Ideally, one is on each side of that string. And we can just I usually make a triple knot. Just be sure everything is really, really tight. Make sure that there's no loose string anywhere, because otherwise the signature will be loose. And then I make a triple knot and then I just cut off the ends. So I think if you've never sewn in signatures like this and you wanted to try it, I think these templates are the way to go, because then at least you won't have to worry about the holes. At least that is done for you. So that is the second signature now that is sewn in. So we got two. And like it's magic, all 5 are in now. And I love it. It's so full. There are so many pages. I didn't count how many pages, but there's a lot. And it's cool. I really like it. So I believe from here on out, I kind of do my own thing. I don't follow Izzy's video anymore. So what I wanted to do, or let's say this, the reason why I didn't continue, here I'm just checking all the tuck spots and pockets that I have. And Izzy is then going to start making some ephemera or some tags and stuff for all the pockets in this book. But I didn't want to do that because I don't know yet what I'm going to be using this journal for. So I didn't want to stuff all the pockets, because depending on what I would use it for, maybe I would have different things to put in there. So instead, I'm going to leave those as is, but I did want to make something. And you will obviously see that in a minute. So here I'm just going through the journal, and I really love this. Love, love, love how it turned out. Love this, of course, this memoranda paper pad from Tim Holtz is the most beautiful thing ever. Okay, so now I decide that I wanted some pockets on the front and the back inside cover. So I decided to take these two templates that we've used to make one of the interactive pages, and I was just checking how they would fit on the covers, and I thought they were fantastic. So this is the one on the back side. Perfect. I love these long pockets. So I thought, okay, let's do that. And so this is the wonderful, wonderful favorite ever paper pad. And so now I'm just choosing some of the designs that I thought would go well with the background of the inside cover. So I wanted to use some scraps, but none of them were wide enough. But this one was perfect. So I just chose what I wanted it to have and placed it accordingly. So then, as always, I just traced the template with my pencil. And it's easier if you actually print these templates on a little bit of thicker cardstock, because then they don't move as much when you trace around them. But it's not a big deal. I have mine on regular copy paper and it works as well. So now I just cut out this shape that I traced. And now I'm just gonna score where they need to be scored, and I know from the shape where they need to be scored, but if you need to check it, you can just check it on the template. It shows you where the score lines are. Now I'll just bend it where those are, and I am going to ink that up, of course without the flaps because we won't see those. And then I'm going to take my glue and just glue that on the front, and I love that. And I'm using this 3-in-1 glue. This is the first time ever that I bought this glue on Amazon, and I am loving it. I did not think it was as good as it is, and it seems to be really strong, which is why I bought it. And what fascinates me is how it's cold when it's still liquid, and then it's not cold when it's dry. So that feeling of cold is really interesting because you feel it through the paper. I don't know why that is. If anyone knows why it's cold, let me know. I'm interested. And I'm just adding some clamps to make sure that it really is stuck down well. And now I'm going through the same process with the back side. So that's, the pocket is the other direction. And I found this piece here. So same process, just tracing it, cutting it. So I've already scored it and inked it. You don't need to see that again. And we're just gonna glue that on. Just making sure it actually fits. And just gluing those flaps down again. So even if you don't make a journal like this, I think some of the templates are really fun to use in other projects. Or you don't get the templates and you just let these inspire you by what you're seeing now to make some pockets and interactive pages with the size that you need for your own journal, or you don't even make them for a journal, but you just make them as little booklets. That's fun too. And another template I saw that she had was this file folder, which I thought was so much fun. So I thought, let's give it a try. So Izzy hasn't made one yet in her video. So I'm totally skipping ahead. And so I found this paper that I wanted to use for the file folder. So same process, tracing around. This time I'm using the cutter for all the straight edges, just because I wanted the file folder to be kind of, you know, so that it would actually work and be the same size on both sides. Checking where I need to score it. Then what am I doing? Oh yeah, I'm cutting out the rest of the shape. I love how these turned out. They are so adorable. I don't know what I'm going to use them yet for, but I had to have them. So now I'm just rounding the corners with my corner punch. And there's our file folder. Isn't that adorable? Love it, love it. So next stage is of course the inking, as always. You can never ink enough. Okay, that is done. I actually forgot to do the inside, but I did do that off camera a little later. So now I want to see how that would fit, and look how well that fits in the pockets. And even in the middle, one of the middle interactive pages, it works really well. So that was when I decided, oh, it even works in this pocket with the big tag. It works everywhere. So I think that was when I decided, okay, one is not going to do. We're gonna have to do a second one. So I chose this paper for a second one. And the reason I chose the papers that I chose was because they were relatively plain and I wanted to decorate them a little bit more, which is what I will be doing the next step. So it's cut out, and now I'm just inking also the inside. So now I have 2 ready. Aren't those just fabulous? Okay, so the 2 fronts were too plain for me, so that is when I start decorating it. I'm just using that clamp to keep it shut a little bit. And these labels I printed from Nick the Booksmith. I believe she has them on her Etsy. You can find her there. And I just printed those in various sizes. And now I'm just going through them. There's also blank ones. I really love these labels so much. And just checking which size I wanted and which word I wanted. I think she has notes, journey, and story on those labels. So just ink that up, and now I have my vintage box, which has a whole bunch of vintage like mail registry labels, which I found by coincidence at the flea market a while ago. I actually wanted to buy a postage stamp book, and all of these were inside, and I find it fascinating that somebody took the time to collect these. They were all put in the book like you would when you collect stamps. So someone really took the time to sort them by, I think, postal code and city, and it just totally amazed me. And I thought that was so cute, and thankfully that person will never see how I just dumped them all in a box. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I really wanted to use the postage stamp book. So I'm just choosing some of these as a background, and this is a tiny piece of a vintage receipt that I had, and I just thought that was kind of cute too. And I like how this is a part of a very vintage ledger on a very thin paper. This is the only ledger I ever found at the flea market. I love it so much. And I love how the noted label looks with the printed label on the Tim Holtz paper, which is on the bottom right. I think those two work together really well. So I just inked that up a bit, and now I am trying to glue the pieces together like a little collage. And of course, they're not in the same place that I had them originally. Somehow that never works, and it kind of frustrated me because I liked my first version a lot better than this version. See, like, why did I put that on the bottom? That needs to go on the top. But I didn't know it. Oh well, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So that is the first collage for the first file folder. I still like it, it's fine. And now for the second one, I'm also looking through my vintage papers, and this one is actually funny. This one is, as you may be able to see, it's an Arabic stamp, and this was a stamp that we had gotten at an exchange bureau when we were in Egypt, and they had these receipts, and this is actually from Allison, a vintage receipt, and they had these laying around when we exchanged the money, a whole bunch of these sheets, and I kind of took all the sheets I saw there, and they were looking at me quite strange because these are papers others throw away, but of course I cannot throw something like that away, so I was so happy to get a bunch of those. So that one was kind of useless to ink up because you really couldn't see it, and let's be honest, this is vintage enough. It doesn't need to be inked up anymore. I don't know why I'm doing that. Okay, so those were the 3 pieces I wanted to use. I did ink up that one as well. Okay, and now I'm going to collage those together as well. And I don't remember if I managed to do it. It totally tore, but it didn't matter since I was gluing it down anyway. Yeah, it's also not the same, but it's okay. Does that ever happen to you, or am I the only one? Usually I would take a photo with my phone, but I'm using my phone to film, so I can't do that. So there we go. That's the decoration for the second file folder. So there's both of them ready to go. And I'm gonna put one in the front and one in the back. No idea what I'm gonna use these for, but they are cute, so in they go. Yep, and that is it. I'm done with this journal. So I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got some ideas for your own journal. Again, whether you're making this one or not, it doesn't matter. So see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.